It is a disturbing subject that can trigger many emotional reactions, and the quest of answers drops many times into fantasy conclusions to fill up the gaps of the big puzzle. There were many fascination, wondering, and fancy speculations where all these orphan children come from. Pushed by the mud-flowed Tartarian psyops, hidden history by the controlled opposition, distracting with ancient super technology of cloning up to extraterrestrial or other fantasy theories. We will take a completely different approach to this question after it is up to everyone themselves to verify, scrutiny, analyze if this is the possible answer or not. We will just put the logical facts on the table, and the links can be found on our website with the link in the description. But to start, for everyone who don't hear or know anything about the subject, let's make a resume about the subject. If you want to know more about it, then others make great videos about the problem, but not much what could be really behind. We'll make two separate videos with two different questions. First, where did all these orphans and foundlings come from? This is part 1, and part 2 will what happened to all these orphans and foundlings. But first to the question, where did all these orphans and foundlings come from? Many pictures appeared in this Tartarian and ancient, stolen, hidden history with these orphan trains, with many orphans even promoted to so people will get the orphans like merchandising. The orphan train movement was a supervised welfare program that transported children from crowded eastern cities of the United States to foster homes located largely in rural areas of the Middle East. The orphan train operates between 1954 and 1929, relocating about 2,000 children. This is the official number. Many talk about way more, and this was only in the United States. Because the orphan train, Charles Loring Brands, who developed the orphan train system, was inspired by similar programs in the United Kingdom and Germany. British children were sometimes moved from United Kingdom to Canada, to Australia, and were called home children. So you have a couple of, many of these postcards where they just celebrate these orphan trains, and also, of course, the stork. This one will be for the part 2. As eggs from chickens, boats, on boats, and then these cabbage kids. Many postcards, collecting and distributing children. Very strange. I mean, the question behind this: what is the purpose behind all this? It's almost early Photoshop, before Photoshop existed. Children to sale, yeah. And if this postcard was just made for fun, it just shows the mentality at this time. There was this subject that children even were sent by post. In fact, there was a law that allowed the children to anything you could send per post office, but these pictures are, of course, done for the. These are not the real pictures. There's one story they know that a little kid was sent between two towns per post. But it was in the law. It was just, again, the mentality of all this is very strange. So let's see. There's Alice Guy, the Fairy of the Cabbage, in 1896. You will find a link in the description just to show. Just taking babies and to put them on the floor. I mean, what the fuck is going on here? You know. And another movie, Midwife to the Upper Class, 1900, where they sell babies. Yeah, the couple is coming and so on. They don't like the babies exposed there, so the woman shows behind. You can watch the whole movie if you want. They go in the garden behind, and the cabbage babies, put them on the floor like that. But these are real babies. I mean, whose parent would do something like that? And so finally they choose one, and they go, and the other ones are just lay there. I mean, you can watch this. It's just to show what kind of mentality it was at that moment. These infant incubators with living infants on these fairies, world fairies in fairs in all over in the middle of the busy crowd, infant incubators with living infants as showcase. Here in 1937. Incubators were still relatively new by the time of Connie set up at Connie Iceland, developed in the infant in the 80s. In Paris, Courtney first displayed incubators with babies at the Berlin Exposition of 1896. Sick stuff for the people to show how it works. Different places was kind of side attraction. And now all this foster care, starting way back. We will mainly look from 1750, because then it was really getting crowded everywhere. They pop up all over. Huge orphans. This is one of the first. Yeah, you see Harry Potter inside. In Moscow, all over. Another one here. So, again, where all these orphans and foundlings come from. And who and where were these parents? Why would they do that? The answer is the industrial revolution. Well, many will say, what? Well, before, people, they work in the fields. They could have the babies with them. After, they worked in huge factories, and the babies could not be there anymore. In 1800, 90% of the people were farming. There was only 1 of 10 who take the food. Then in 1800 it changed. It was like 3 people of 10 make food. So 7 people are eating and 3 people are making food. This was in the 1900s already in the United States. Of course, this was not all over. This is not worldwide. This is only in the United States. And then in 1925, 2030, it was 2 people who make food for the rest. And now it will be the computer who make the food. So this is a fact. This happened. Today we are not even one person who make food for the rest of the of all others, and this is where the main problems start. Of course, before the indoctrination, and this starts already long time ago with the feudal pyramid system, before people was making their food, collecting their food for their own. But with the feudal system, they had to grow more for the others. So they could not only collect, and they had to start to get farming. And if they did not, they came, and you still had to pay. And when factories start, nothing changed. And then kids were in the streets, because they 1700, well, there was there was no school. There was only church and this nursing home. And then, of course, the law enforcement take the children away, as it is today. And you still had to pay, or they came. Somebody had to feed the king. So, with this, only with this, it already starts. And all this only happened because the peasants want their land protection. Of course, the problem was already done before to take them everything away. But this was the thing. People want land and protection. And this is what they get. Continue to worship the king, making their own prison. But again, for the ones who are new on the channel, let's be clear. There is not overpopulation. There is not 8 billion people on Earth. This is all crap. We could live all in the state of, what was it, Mexico? Something like that. And have a house and garden. Evolution is bullshit. We are not coming from a cave making pyramids and then inventing the internet. This is all bullshit, of course. And there is also no God and the whole story within. There is also no aliens, extraterrestrial, ancient, this all ancient technology. We have to look on a complete different mindset. We cannot look with the mindset we have today and with the hope that something miraculous is going on. We have to look differently on this whole thing. There is no DNA, and there is no DNA cloning, and there is no cloning. This is also science fiction, but it's not science at all. And there is not something like higher dimensions or something like that. This is all bullshit. All story is a lie where people are agreeing upon. We have to think outside the box. We can't just use the same indoctrination that people have and look at this subject. This is just impossible. We have to look with a completely different mindset on this whole subject. We are coming from tribes. Again, evolution, God, this is all bullshit. People lived for all the time in tribes. So everyone take care about the babies. Yeah, there was not something like parents becoming to that. And also like the whole knowledge was given under the tree from the one who made the experience, not just the theory like today. The teachers are giving theories up and they never have experienced anything of them, what they're teaching. And people live together. They know each other. they could trust, and they lived on the same place. Everyone, even the elders. And the elders, you could trust them because they had experience. And if they say bullshit, they will live the same consequences as everyone else. But as soon as the politicians come, they live in another house and leave the whole peasants behind. And this is where it continues. But the people continue to trust. Like today, they continue to trust these politicians or masters who live in another place. And of course, the village was destroyed, and being in ghetto, the tribe was destroyed by society. Learning was replaced by school, and the children care by children care. So this is, but the people had still the same trust, and they had still the same mindset that everyone takes care about everyone. This is where this whole trust is coming from. And also the invention of the family. Family is an invention. Origin and meaning of family, early 50. Servant of a household, from Latin familia, family servant, domestic, family servant, domestics, collectively, the servant in a household. Members of a household, estate, property, household, including relatives and servant, slaves. This is what family means. You can watch it up. And servants for the family. This is what family servant, this is what it is. And people still think that this whole is like a tribe mindset. This is what people trust profoundly. And it was replaced with the idea of parent. Parent also is an idea from 1500 to replace elder. So all these concepts are fantasy concepts that people have to acknowledge. A great number of children placed in this institution were not fully orphan. In fact, from 1847 to 1869, a review of the Protestant orphan asylum in St. Louis, Missouri, revealed that only 27% of the children were fully orphans, 1 of 4. 69% of the children had one parent, other parent being deceased or absent. 4% of the children had both parents. Those orphanages appear to have a population of disadvantaged children whose parents were having difficulty providing them with adequate care. And who parent would do that? Shipping in a train from one place to another. Who parent would do that? Well, again, progress and blind trust in it, in the government. This is the answer why people are doing this. It's like today. They're sending children into school, and it hurts them. So the tribe was replaced with society. Come on. Children care was taken care of maybe by the grandparents, but as soon as they invented the homes for the old people, who would take care of the kids? You need servants or babysitters, or you have the orphans. So this was the mindset of the people, where somebody had to take care about the children. That's why they just bring them in orphans. For 2 or 3 years they are going there, and they're coming back and will be good slaves. So the main reason for orphans is poverty, poverty, and poverty. Parents are working, no servant, no money for school or other daycare or whatever. Blind trust in the feudal system, in the progress, the system, and the government. Single unmarried raped mothers. Yes, a single mother in the 1700 was not good seen. I mean, not well seen. A single mother, the children was taken away. Unplanned, hidden, unwanted, or bastard child. Parents died, disappeared, or are in prison. Then rebels, government's opponents, non-compliance, or so-called terrorists. Or then the lost, or the foundlings. The Romans formed their first orphanage around 400 AD. We will not take that in consideration. The Jewish law prescribed care for the widow and orphan, and Athenian law supported all the orphans of those killed in military service until the age of 18. Interesting. Plato, orphans should be placed under the care of public guardians. Who still trust Plato? Yeah. What is the oldest orphan in the world? This was it in Firenze in 1400. Also, we will not go there, but take another look. The Massachusetts Adoption Children Act enacted in 1551. Yeah, so they adopted children without adoption child, but of course it was perfect for the orphan train. Adoptions were first made illegal in England, Wales with the passing of the Adoption Act, while Northern Ireland was 1929. Yeah, and they shipped a lot of children also to Canada and even Australia. So when we look at the timeline, let's take the 1700s, from the 1700s, where all these huge foundling hospitals were created, where we also have the orphan train. Come on. The orphan trains, that was 1854. And then we have also these incubators around 1900. So the first industrial revolution was 1750. Yeah, first industrial revolution began in England around 50, and lasted until 80-20, 80-40. We also have the Child Labor Act. This also means when first children was used in the factory, and then they start to have child labor. And then, of course, instead of workers, you have more orphans. So the second industrial revolution started in 1870 until 1914. And also now the feminism starts. Of course, feminism was created by men so that women could pay taxes, and also the woman rights to vote and so on. So the whole emancipation stuff also increased, of course, for a lot of more children, orphans, and so on. And also when the school get mandatory, yeah, so if you didn't send the children to school, they take took them away, like they did today, do today still. And 1950, the third industrial revolution, and also where foster care just exploded from 100,000 to almost 600,000 in 2000. But 1950 is also after the Second World War, of course. We have a huge increase. And also the child right, UN child right started also then, of course. They also could take more. So you have a different, a couple of periods who stuffs made it only worse. So you have the Vietnam War between here and also the whole hippie movement. And then you have the International Human Rights Treaty in 90s, and it's also going up. And then you have, of course, the internet who started, and not to forget the baby boom, and so on. So you have a lot of reason why so many orphans suddenly appeared. And now, of course, they announced the fourth industrial revolution, something that will not benefit the kids, of course, nor the parents at all. So how many there are really, we have no clue. We was looking also like how many there was in 1700s, 1800s, 1900s. We find nothing. You don't find official numbers. The only numbers that was collected was by the trains, because they make it kind of official. But all the orphan, and we didn't talk about the whole children who disappeared in the same time. But there's something maybe other that you have noticed. We are only talking about, until here, we just talked about white children. We didn't talk about the in Australia or the Aborigines children. We didn't talk about the Afro-American children. And in these orphan trains, you only had white. So this is also very important question, what is really going on there. It is, of course, not about taking care of children. Otherwise, you would have all kind of children, and also the adoption and so on, and all this stuff. But this will be, and also like in India, or America, and in India, all these orphans and so on. But this will be for the next part, where we question what happened to all these orphans and foundlings, and how many there possibly could be. We will not have any exact numbers. The impact and the consequences of this whole thing, and also of the orphans themselves. What happened to the non-whites? Why and who paid for this foster care, education, food, clothing, etc.? Why orphans are useful for the government? Yeah, this is also very interesting. The mental state and trauma when they are grown up. What happened with, what is the psychological mental state of an orphan? But until then, you can watch in this Telegram channel, where we have quite a lot of different material exposed in a different way, and to look at things a little bit more factual than through fantasy videos, images, links, and gifs, of course. To resume, if people prefer Alien UFO's version with ancient technology cloning, it's up to them. But nobody can refuse the fact of what industrial revolution have made. This orphan business is today going on more than ever before. It is the highest number of child protection, kidnapping, pure, for mostly no reason, but all legal. It is important to realize how the system wants alone babies, to get their baby loan, Babylon, and one world government system in place. More soon. Stay tuned. Thanks for watching.